Hi, everyone. Duke Brumley, Executive Director of Sober AF Entertainment. I am super pumped to um, just let you know that we have one of our favorite representatives, Representative Leslie Herod from the 8th District, has agreed to come on and answer some questions about what happened in the legislative bill recently, or legislative session. I know we've been kind of working together for the last probably year, ever since Caring for Denver came up and you were championing that. So I know that you must be exhausted. It's been a full month, if not something super different with kind of COVID and everything. So I wanted to thank you for coming on and just give you the opportunity to kind of give us an update and what you're seeing and how as a community we can all work together.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate that. And thanks for all the work you're doing. You and I initially started talking about your work since I think we started talking about it with Caring for Denver in 2017, I believe, or no, it was probably 2018.
Right.
And it was really amazing to hear the work that you were doing, really, on behalf of your family too, right? And just personal, these issues affect us personally. So we did run Caring for Denver, which is now a foundation, the largest mental health foundation in the state, maybe the country. Thank you for your support. So we now have about $35 million that we give out annually for mental health and substance use. This year was our first year with Caring for Denver to actually have the funding and to have the staff and the board. And right when we were about to get into our first cycle of grant making, COVID hit. And so we immediately put out emergency resources into the community to ensure that folks had access to mental health care, of course, through Zoom or however folks want to meet that's secure, and substance use treatment. That treatment didn't stop. And it was really hard because a lot of folks it did stop for. And that was probably one of the most challenging things that we didn't know we were going to step right into. But we immediately got out almost nearly $1 million into the Denver community to ensure that that support's continued. And then we went into legislative session. So then I had to, while wearing my chair for the Caring for Denver hat, went into legislative session, was honored to be on the opioid and other substance use committee, led by Representative Chris Kennedy and Senator Brittany Pettersen. I was able to staff and really bring in the criminal justice perspective into the conversation. We introduced, I believe, 5 pieces of legislation, all of which have passed and are on the way to the governor's desk for signature. And I'm just really excited and honored to be able to do the work. I also have been working on another little piece of legislation, which I'm sure we'll get into, Senate Bill 217, which is about police misconduct and use of force, and really brings more accountability and integrity to the process. So I'm excited to move these bills forward. I'm excited to be working on these measures, and I'm excited to be in partnership with SAFE. I do see you guys as true partners in this work. Even if I forget to call you, you call me, which is a testament of our friendship, I think, because that's what friends do, right? They just reach out, and there's no ego. It's just the work. And you have shown me that time and time again that you are here for the work. And so thank you for your commitment to these issues. Thank you for looking at things with a different perspective and saying we don't have to do things the same way we've always done. And thank you for creating such a safe space for all who need it. I mean, it just makes such a difference. So from the bottom of my heart, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your work and the work of all of those who I know you surround yourself with. So thanks for having me.
Well, I know you have said yes to a lot of our things. So, and I know you were trying to come to Halsey, the Halsey concert. And
why not?
And then on March 18th this year, we were going to bring the game ball out at the Nuggets game. So, that got canceled 5 days before it happened. And I was so excited that you said yes to that. And that would have been such kind of a great moment. We sold like 150 tickets, and they let us bring the game ball out 5 minutes before tip off. And they were going to, say kind of our names and thank you for being a supporter. So I'm really sad we didn't get to have that moment, but that's a rain check. We'll make that happen again.
Yeah, let's make sure that happens. I think it'll be great, and it was just an honor to be asked. So thank you.
And then kind of for this legislative session, I know COVID hit. I know because of that, the state budget has been trying to be reduced by 30%. And, we're all just trying to, kind of how do we help our communities? So is there anything in particular you kind of wanted to discuss about what you're really happy we're able to kind of keep? So one thing I do want to say is I know that you are a world leader, not just a country leader or state leader, but Colorado is this world leader in kind of a new way to think about recovery, prevention, harm reduction, and really trying to figure out, how do we stop sending so many people to prison for drug-related charges, or if they're in prison already for charges that are no longer illegal, what do we do? So I want to say you kind of took the mantle with this and wasn't afraid to have that discussion.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's reason for that. Substance use has affected my family directly. My sister has been in and out of the criminal justice system, partially because of substance use. A lot of it from stemming from trauma and mental health challenges that were unaddressed when she was younger. And it's real. And it's devastating on our communities when we actually don't address it the right way. We can't incarcerate ourselves out of addiction. We can't incarcerate ourselves out of, mental health challenges. If we did, we wouldn't be continuing to grow our prisons and jails. And they wouldn't be the largest mental health institutions in the state. That's absurd. In the country, our largest mental health and substance use institutions, treatment institutions, are correctional facilities. As a chair of the Judiciary Committee, I see the impacts in my committee. I also see it in the state budget as the chair of finance. And we need to do things differently, which is why we ran Caring for Denver, which is why we talk so much about harm reduction, which folks don't want to talk about, right? They don't want to talk about the realities of being deep in an addiction and actually having compassion for people who are. But I do, because it's my family, and the road to recovery is not a straight line. It's not easy. And we have to actually address it in that way, in a very real way. So this year, the opioid committee, in the bills that we passed, and I sponsored or co-sponsored all of these, addressed the criminal justice issues. We talked about having a continuum of care, Medicaid re-enrollment, and that is extremely important. We also looked at prevention, requiring insurance companies to cover more alternatives to opioids. We focused on harm reduction so that folks had access to naloxone, and we opened access to more needle exchanges happening across the state. We also looked at recovery. So we talked about it in that, that prevention, recovery, harm reduction area. And in the recovery bill, we really talked about when someone gets thrown in jail because of their child tests positive for a substance. I don't believe that should be on its face a reason to take a child away from their mom, or a reason to throw a mother in jail. Instead, it's a reason to get that mother treatment. And if people don't think that they will have access to treatment, and if people don't think, or people do think that their children will be taken away from them when they test positive, they will not deliver in hospitals, and they will not go to the doctor for checkup and for care of that child. So if no other abuse is happening in that home, what we really need in that home is treatment. And that's something that we pushed for and passed in Senate Bill 28. We also looked at more treatment issues under Senate Bill 7. It prohibits providers from denying access to Medicaid, to medical or substance use disorder treatment services, including recovery services. And again, back into the continuum of care. It does also require insurance carriers to provide more coverage for naloxone. I think that bill is going to be particularly challenging because the governor has talked about reducing mandates on the insurance carriers. So we're not sure if that bill will get signed into law this year. So we need folks to lift up their voices and reach out to the governor and say why it is important to sign these bills. So what I will say is, while the pandemic slowed down the work that we were able to do because we couldn't fund a lot of things, that's just fact. We couldn't fund it. It didn't stop the work. And again, that's a testament to the committee, to the committee's leadership, and I think to you all for being so engaged in the process. At the end of the day, we pulled through and passed all of those bills. We had to strip out some funding, but the bills were passed, and we're able to do a lot in moving in the right direction for our community, I think.
And just kind of reiterate, like we, Colorado at some point was this leader in cannabis legislation, and we've also been this leader in recovery legislation. So I am really proud to say whenever I talk to somebody who knows our space, they do know what we're doing on the legislature in Colorado, that we really are, a leader in that component. And I kind of wanted to say thanks for, kind of standing up and fighting for this community. There's 24.5 million people in some type of recovery from drug abuse or alcohol abuse, according to SAMHSA. So it's a good sized community that typically is underrepresented because of, I think, a misunderstanding of anonymity or a misunderstanding of, as a community, we can say we're in long-term recovery. So I just wanted to say thank you. I put your website up. If anyone wants to reach out and contact you, they can contact you there, or kind of donate to your cause. And kind of wanted to also give you the opportunity to talk about the latest legislation you have passed.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I am running for re-election. So any support folks want to give, $5, $10, $100 is very helpful. And you can do that by going to leslieherefordcolorado.com. But what we did, I ran recently, was Senate Bill 217. Senate Bill 217 was the Law Enforcement Integrity and Accountability Act, also known as a bill in honor of Elijah McClain and Devon Bailey, both killed at the hands of law enforcement just recently. This bill does a lot of things. It requires body camera footage. It mandates the end of the use of chokeholds. And I think we just saw in the news, Aurora changed their policy today based on that bill. I know other departments are doing that now too. It bans the ability of law enforcement to shoot someone in the back, fleeing felon, when they're running away, unless they're in imminent danger. So Devon Bailey and Elijah McClain both would still be alive if those policies were still in place right now. And, if not alive, their murderers would be brought to justice, because those things would be considered murder at this point. We required the use of body cameras. And the release of that footage to the family of the victims or the victim directly, if that person is alive. Let me just be clear. You can't sugarcoat these issues. We also said that officers have a duty to intervene. If they don't, they could be charged with the highest level of crime, which could be murder. But at the least level, it will be a misdemeanor 1, which is requires 6 months in jail for failure to intervene or report when there's officer misconduct and they witness it. And we got rid of qualified immunity, which means they can't be shielded from personal liability because they're law enforcement. That's gone. So we did run a groundbreaking reform. I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm excited to have championed this issue, but it wasn't alone. I did it with the support of President of the Senate, Leroy Garcia, Senator Rhonda Fields, who is just an amazing force, as well as Representative Selena Gonzalez Gutierrez, and then the entire Democratic caucus. So we are excited to be able to move that bill forward. It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the protesters who are out there in numbers demanding change. Let me just be clear, Duke, it wouldn't have happened. It would not have passed. People would not have voted for this bill. And so I can't thank the folks out there enough who were out there protesting in any way that they were doing. They could have been out there in front of the Capitol, or maybe they were lifting things up on social media. Whatever folks were doing, it really made a difference. Making phone calls. We got this bill passed because of the people, not because of anything else. So thank you for that.
Well, it's great to see when, there is this movement, people show up, work together, and then we get something over the goal line, right? We actually get something kind of accomplished. And I've only learned a little bit about how difficult that is by kind of going down to the Capitol and trying to speak on the recovery bill, and also the prevention bill and the harm reduction bill, and kind of seeing there's so many people there late at night in the middle of a snowstorm, fighting for their community.
Yeah, it's amazing to see, isn't it? I mean, and thank you so much for coming out and doing that. I know I'm going to have to wrap up soon, but I just want to tell Carrie Ann, thank you for the work that you're doing at the Coliseum for our unhoused community. Thank you. And Matt, I think we talked about me supporting SAFE, and I'm happy to do whatever Duke calls me and asks me to do. If it works out with my schedule and theirs, we will definitely get it done. So thank you for your support of this initiative as well. And Ms. Peterson, hi again. Thank you so much for always being engaged and for all of your support. And thank you for just being a leader in our community. I love you. And thanks for having me.
There's a bunch of comments and you can see that your Instagram is in the comments, and there's also your Twitter handles in the comments. So if you do want to contact Representative Herod, there's other ways you can do it. And also her Facebook is in the comments section. So I want to say thank you so much for taking time, fighting for our kids, fighting for our community to be able to, be stronger mentally and giving a lot of people who need hope a little extra hope. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to chatting with you soon again and seeing you in person. Hopefully we can give hugs.
Oh, can't wait. Can't wait for some Halsey and some nuggets and some more fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Bye.
All right. Thank you.